The morning light in San Francisco slipped gently through the fog, turning the streets near Mission Park into rivers of soft gold. Cars rolled slowly past the old brick houses, their engines humming like a tired city waking from dreams. Somewhere, a child laughed, and a bus groaned its way up a hill. Among the quiet hum of the city lived Ethan Cole, a former Marine who had returned from service 3 years earlier. He was in his mid-30s, tall, with calm eyes that carried both strength and sorrow. Each morning he packed a small lunch for his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, and walked her to the bus stop before heading to his part-time job at a local repair shop. Life wasn't easy, but he found peace in the rhythm of small routines. San Francisco, for Ethan, was a city of second chances. He had lost his wife to illness soon after coming home from deployment. Since then, every day had been a quiet promise, to raise Lily in love, to serve others in small ways, to keep kindness alive where the world often forgot it. One chilly Thursday afternoon, as he was walking back from work, Ethan noticed a crowd forming near a small blue-painted house at the corner of Maple Street. The sound of raised voices cut through the air. He slowed down. A black car with tinted windows stood parked nearby, and a tall man in a leather jacket was arguing with a woman on the front porch. The woman's voice trembled, her hands shaking as she clutched a set of keys. "Please, Marcus, just give me 2 more days," she said. Her voice carried both fear and dignity. "I'm waiting for the insurance payment. I swear I'll pay you." The man, Marcus Vega, leaned closer. His tone was cold but not loud, like someone used to getting his way. "You said that last week, Grace. The rent's overdue, and the bank already wants me to close this deal. You're out of time." Ethan stopped a few feet away. The name Grace stirred something. He remembered her from the grocery store. She was a quiet widow who lived with her teenage son, Noah, in that very house. She used to smile politely whenever their paths crossed. Now she stood there, trembling, her eyes red from crying. The neighbors peeked from their windows but no one stepped outside. San Francisco could be like that, full of people who cared silently but were afraid to interfere. Ethan felt his heartbeat quicken. He didn't like conflict, but something inside him refused to walk away. He approached slowly and spoke in a steady voice. "Everything all right here?" Marcus turned his head, eyes narrowing. "Who are you?" "Just a neighbor," Ethan said. "Seems like she's having a hard time. Maybe we can talk this through." Grace looked at him with silent relief. Marcus sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's not personal. The bank's breathing down my neck. She owes more than she can handle." Ethan glanced at Grace. "How much?" She hesitated, then whispered, $22,000. "After my husband passed, I couldn't keep up with the payments." Her voice cracked. "I tried everything. I just need a little more time." The number echoed in Ethan's mind. That was almost his entire savings, money he had set aside for Lily's future and the small dream of opening his own repair garage someday. He said nothing for a moment. Marcus checked his watch. "You've got until Friday. After that, I'm done." He turned, climbed into his car, and drove away, leaving the sound of tires fading into the fog. Grace stood frozen on the porch. Ethan approached quietly. "You okay?" She nodded weakly, though tears slipped down her cheeks. "I'm sorry you had to see that. It's just, ever since David died, everything's fallen apart." Ethan offered a small, gentle smile. "No need to apologize. Sometimes the world hits hard. But it doesn't mean you're alone." She looked at him, eyes filled with exhaustion. "Thank you, Ethan. You've always been kind. I just wish kindness could pay the bills." He chuckled softly, then grew quiet. As he walked home that evening, his thoughts wouldn't rest. He remembered nights overseas when strangers had helped him survive, farmers sharing bread, children waving at the convoy, people who owed him nothing but gave everything. He couldn't ignore Grace's situation. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Ethan sat by the window, watching city lights shimmer through the mist. He opened his savings notebook, his hands trembling. $23,000. That was everything. He whispered to himself, maybe this is what it's meant for. Outside, the wind carried the faint hum of a bus passing by, and somewhere far off, the bells from a church tower marked midnight. The next morning, Ethan made a decision that would change not only Grace's life but his own. He called the local bank manager, Mr. Turner, and arranged a meeting. By noon, he was walking toward Maple Street again, an envelope in his jacket pocket and determination in his heart. The fog over San Francisco was thicker the next morning, stretching like a silver blanket across the rooftops. The air carried the scent of ocean salt and distant coffee shops opening for the day. Ethan walked through the streets with quiet determination, his breath forming small clouds in the cool air. He stopped briefly at Golden Gate Park, where the morning sun had begun to cut through the mist. Families jogged along the paths, cyclists passed by with friendly nods, and the sound of birds echoed between the tall trees. For a moment, Ethan stood still, gathering courage. He thought of Lily and the dream he'd been saving for, his own repair shop with a small apartment above it. But then he saw Grace's tearful eyes in his mind again, the fear of losing her home, and he knew his path was already chosen. By the time he reached the bank, the city had fully awakened. Cars rushed along the streets, buses groaned, and people hurried past with coffee cups and phones in hand. He entered the building and met with Mr. Turner, the middle-aged bank manager who had helped him once with a small loan. "Ethan," Mr. Turner said, smiling kindly. "What brings you in today?" Ethan hesitated before answering. "I'm here to make a payment. Not for me, for a neighbor, Grace Miller. She's behind on her house payments. I'd like to cover her balance." Mr. Turner raised an eyebrow, surprised. "That's very generous, but it's quite a large amount. Are you sure you want to do that?" Ethan nodded slowly. "She's a widow. She's got a kid about Lily's age. She's done everything she can, but life hasn't been fair to her. I think it's time someone gave her a break." Mr. Turner studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "All right, let's get this done." When Ethan left the bank an hour later, his savings account was nearly empty. But his heart felt strangely light, like he had just taken a deep breath after holding it for years. That evening, Grace sat on her porch, staring blankly at the street. Her son Noah was inside, packing their things in quiet heartbreak. When Ethan arrived, she looked up in surprise. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" He handed her a white envelope. "Grace, your debt is cleared. The house is yours. You don't have to leave." She froze. "What?" "I went to the bank this morning. It's done. You and Noah can stay." For a few seconds, she couldn't speak. Then tears spilled freely down her cheeks. "Ethan, I can't accept this. That's too much. I can't repay you." He smiled gently. "You don't owe me anything. Maybe just keep being who you are. That's enough." She shook her head in disbelief. "How can I ever thank you?" Ethan looked out toward the setting sun, glowing orange behind the fog. "By not giving up. By believing there are still good people left." At that moment, the sound of a car engine broke the silence. Marcus Vega's black car turned onto the street and pulled up in front of the house. Grace's face went pale. Ethan stayed calm. Marcus stepped out, looking surprised to see Ethan standing there again. "Well," Marcus said slowly, "I thought I told you, Grace, Friday was the deadline." Ethan took a step forward, his voice even but firm. "It's Friday, and it's paid." Marcus blinked. "What do you mean?" Ethan handed him a copy of the payment receipt. "The bank confirmed it this morning. Her balance is cleared. You have no more business here." Marcus looked at the paper, then back at Ethan. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, Marcus gave a small smirk. "I see. Guess I was wrong about you, neighbor. You've got guts." He turned and got back into his car. The engine purred softly, then faded down the street, leaving behind a silence that felt like peace. Grace leaned against the porch railing, overwhelmed. Noah stepped outside, clutching a small toy truck. "Mom, are we staying?" Grace knelt beside him, tears glistening in her eyes. "Yes, honey, we're staying. Thanks to Mr. Ethan." Noah looked up at Ethan shyly. "Thank you, sir." Ethan knelt down and smiled. "Take care of your mom, all right? That's your job now." Noah nodded seriously. Grace watched them both, her heart full of gratitude too deep for words. As Ethan walked away, the street lights began to glow softly, one by one, painting the fog with golden light. He could hear children laughing in the distance, buses rumbling, and the faint whistle of the wind through the city trees. And in that ordinary San Francisco evening, he felt something extraordinary, hope returning to a heart that had once felt empty. The next week passed quietly. Grace visited Ethan at his repair shop with homemade muffins as thanks. She insisted on helping him in any way she could, running errands, bringing lunch, or simply keeping company. Lily and Noah became friends quickly, laughing together under the same sky that once held so much sorrow. But inside, Ethan carried a secret worry. His savings were gone. The bills for his shop were coming soon, and he didn't know how he'd manage. Yet, somehow, he didn't regret it. He believed, deep down, that kindness always found its way back. He was right. One evening, as he was closing the shop, a shiny silver helicopter landed on the nearby helipad of the community center. People gathered, curious, as a tall man in a suit stepped out, Mayor Williams, a local official known for his community initiatives. Ethan watched from a distance, unaware that this visit would soon change his life again. The evening air around Mission Park was calm, carrying the sound of waves from the bay and the soft chatter of people heading home. The city lights shimmered like stars scattered across the earth. Ethan closed his shop, wiped his hands on a cloth, and locked the door. He didn't notice the black SUV pulling up beside the sidewalk until a voice called out. "Mr. Cole." Ethan turned. The man stepping out was Mayor Williams, the same person who had arrived earlier by helicopter. Behind him stood two assistants holding folders and cameras. Ethan blinked, unsure what to say. "Yes, sir." The mayor smiled warmly. "I heard something about what you did for one of our residents, Grace Miller. You paid off her debt, kept her from losing her home. Is that true?" Ethan hesitated, embarrassed by the attention. "I just helped a neighbor, that's all." The mayor nodded thoughtfully. "You see, not many people would have done that. We live in a city where folks rush past each other every day. You reminded us what community means." Ethan felt his face grow warm. "I didn't do it for recognition. I just thought, no one should lose their home because life got unfair." Mayor Williams smiled again. "That's exactly the kind of heart we need. The city council wants to feature your story in our new Acts of Kindness program. And, more importantly," he paused, glancing at one of his aides, who handed Ethan an envelope. "A local foundation heard about your gesture. They want to fund your dream, your own repair garage, fully equipped and licensed. Consider it a thank you for reminding San Francisco that humanity still exists." Ethan froze, unable to speak. The weight of the moment settled over him. He slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a grant approval letter and a check big enough to change his life. He exhaled softly, the tension of months leaving his body all at once. Grace and Noah arrived at that moment, having heard the news from a neighbor. Grace smiled through tears. "You see, Ethan, kindness comes back around. You saved us, and now life's paying you back." Noah tugged at his sleeve. "When I grow up, I want to help people too, just like you." Ethan knelt down, smiling. "Then the world's already a better place, kiddo." As the helicopter lifted off again, its blades thumping rhythmically against the sky, the city seemed to glow brighter. People came out of nearby shops, waving at Ethan, smiling, whispering about the veteran who gave his savings to save a widow. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel alone. He felt part of something bigger, something good. Weeks passed. Ethan's new garage opened near Mission Boulevard, painted light blue with white trim. A small sign above the door read, "Cole's Honest Repairs, Service with a Heart." Lily painted the letters herself, while Grace and Noah helped set up flowers near the entrance. Customers soon came from all over the city, not just for his skill but for his kindness. He never overcharged anyone, never turned away those who couldn't pay right away. And each evening, as the sun dipped behind the Golden Gate Bridge, Ethan would stand outside the shop, watching the light fade and whisper a quiet prayer of gratitude. He often thought about how one simple act, choosing compassion over comfort, had turned despair into hope, not just for Grace, but for everyone who heard the story. The city had changed in small ways too. People began helping each other more often. Neighbors shared meals, shop owners lent hands to struggling families, and bus drivers stopped a little longer to help the elderly climb aboard. Kindness, once rare, began to ripple through the streets like sunlight through fog. One peaceful Sunday morning, Ethan sat on a park bench near the bay with Lily and Grace. Children played on the grass, couples strolled hand in hand, and the wind carried the sound of distant church bells. Grace handed him a cup of coffee, smiling softly. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "Not for a second. We can't take money with us when we go, but the lives we touch, that's what lasts." She nodded, tears glimmering again. In the distance, a bus rolled by, its bright color shining in the sunlight, and Ethan thought about how life keeps moving forward, how every act of kindness, no matter how small, becomes part of someone else's journey. He looked at Lily and Noah laughing nearby, their voices rising above the gentle waves, and felt peace settle deep in his chest. The city he once thought cold now felt alive, because kindness had found a home in its heart. And somewhere, high above the bay, a single bird glided past the Golden Gate Bridge, wings open wide against the blue sky, as if carrying Ethan's quiet promise that kindness, once given, never dies. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Tell us if you've ever witnessed or experienced an act of kindness that changed your life. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Quest, where we bring you true and inspiring stories that remind us all that compassion still lives in this world. Because sometimes, one kind heart can change everything.